And now we're getting into the second batch of prelims, the next 4 fights on the card, round out the prelim card for fight night. Imavov versus Strickland. It used to be a 7-fight card. Now it's only a 6-fight card after Cachoeira versus Eubanks got canceled because Eubanks was having trouble with the weight cut. I mentioned last time that Eubanks was going to be the bigger fighter. Apparently she was a lot bigger than she was supposed to be. But we still got 4 prelim fights to cover after the first 3. Now it's only the first 2, but 4 fights left on this prelim card that we have to cover. Let's get into them right now. So the next fight, it's going to be the 3rd fight on this card ultimately, is going to be Nascimento against Carlos Hernandez in the men's flyweight division. As you can see, Nascimento is going to come in as the favorite, and if you really look up and down the grid here, there's not a whole lot of reason to dispute that. Nascimento is a massive submission threat. 14 submissions, over 19 career wins. He's got a better finish rate overall, higher strength of schedule. You look, Hernandez has only had 1 fight in the UFC, and it was a split decision victory over Victor Altamirano. Some people could dispute it, not an egregious split decision. You could definitely see how Hernandez got that W. But ultimately, Nascimento's got more experience, more wins under his belt, and he's going to look to enter the Cage Calculus top 15 at flyweight. And if he gets the W by anything other than split decision, I think he's going to be able to do that. He'll have a number next to his name, and he'll show up in the rankings come next week. So I think Alan Nascimento takes it. You look, the odds makers have him at just a little over a 3-1 favorite. The Cage Calculus algorithm says 53.1% chance. I think that could even be a little bit higher, but given that Hernandez hasn't lost in the UFC yet, he hasn't come back down to earth. So I think you see Nascimento in a pretty clear decision, if not a submission. Even though Hernandez is a decent submission threat himself, it might stay on the feet, but ultimately Nascimento is probably going to have the advantage there. And next we'll move to the men's lightweight division for a fun battle of newcomers. Mateusz Rebecki against Nick Fiore in the men's lightweight division. This one's interesting. If you look, Mateusz Rebecki is ranked so highly. That's why he's got a 74.4% chance of winning in his debut, no less. And he's right now, just his pre-UFC ranking comes in at 1765. He's the 15th ranked lightweight right now, meaning he's the 14th ranked lightweight contender at the moment. Although just because Cage Calculus doesn't put you into the rankings until you've actually fought, he won't have a number next to his name. But he is a multi-time Polish lightweight champion in Polish promotions prior. So he's got a lot of experience, a lot of title experience. He could make a run. I definitely think he's way overcharged. But his opponent, also making his UFC debut, Nick Fiore, is coming in on short notice after Omar Morales dropped out a while back. So we've got a fight of 2 people making their debuts. If you've been reading editors' picks before, you'll know I don't very often pick somebody to win when they're making their debut fight. That being said, both of these men are making their debut fight, and I can't very well pick a draw. So we're going with the chalk. Mateusz Rebecki, 74.4% favorite. I think he's definitely a favorite. I don't know if I'd say he's that high just yet. But again, Nick Fiore taking this on short notice and does not have the wealth of experience that Rebecki has, despite the fact that Fiore has a perfect finish rate in his undefeated 6-0 career. I expect that he'll lose this 0. But again, as always, props to somebody for taking a fight on short notice. But Rebecki, the Pole, he'll take home the W. Whether or not he is going to deserve the high ranking that he's going to have come next week if he pulls off a W, that remains to be seen. But right now, Rebecki, exciting Polish prospect, probably going to get his first UFC W here in this one. This one came about. This was supposed to be the featured prelim. They switched around the order and is no longer the featured prelim. It is the penultimate prelim fight. Abdul Razak Alhassan against newcomer Claudio Ribeiro. There's no reason this shouldn't be the featured prelim. In fact, it should even be on the main card. Not two household names in this fight, but two men who have 21 wins between the two of them, 21 knockouts. Each of these men, 100% finish rate, as you can see, no submissions. They're standing, they're swinging, and somebody's going to go to sleep in this one. Someone's getting a performance of the night bonus from this fight. Now let's dive into the numbers and kind of see whether or not it's going to be the veteran Abdul Razak Alhassan, who is one of the fittest. If you look at this man, gosh, you want him to give you his leg day routine. That man is incredibly well built. He looks like a knockout artist. Claudio Ribeiro, product of Dana White Contender Series, also coming in undefeated in this one. He was a champion in the Future MMA promotion. And if you look at the numbers, right, Abdul Razak Alhassan has not fought a very high strength of schedule, 1570.3 average opponent rating, which is well below average, but he's fought some killers. And he has lost 4 out of his last 5 with a tough split decision against Joaquin Buckley in there and a very highlight reel knockout against Chaos Williams. Alhassan has definitely gotten a rough shake as of late. Obviously, nothing untoward. Joaquin Buckley probably should have won that decision, and Chaos Williams just caught him with a shot from hell. I think Alhassan is better than his rating says right now, despite the low strength of schedule. I think Alhassan can get out there. Claudio Ribeiro is a fighter tailor-made for Hassan because he's not somebody who's going to try and make the fight go the distance either. This is going to be in his wheelhouse, and again, experience counts. As talented as Ribeiro is, and even the odds makers in his UFC debut are giving him the slight edge, but still you can't even get even money on Alhassan. So I'm going with the veteran. I'm not picking debut fighters 2 in a row. We're going with the veteran Alhassan. He gets back in the win column. He's going to be a scary middleweight. I expect Ribeiro to go to sleep soon. And now we make it to the actual featured prelim of the night. Mateusz Mendonca against Javid Basharat in the men's bantamweight division. Another debut fighter. Mendonca comes off of a vicious Dana White Contender Series DWCS victory. 48-second knockout to earn his UFC contract, and now he gets to cash in against Javid Basharat. If you look here, you see the code, the algorithm says Basharat has a 62.9% chance of pulling this one out. I think that's probably right. Basharat's got a much better finishing rate. He's got a relatively high average opponent rating for somebody who's not yet broken into the rankings. If he gets a win, he'll probably get there. It will depend how he wins. Likely to see whether or not he cracks the top 15 come Monday or Tuesday. But Javid Basharat, 13-0, undefeated in the UFC. He got decision wins over Trevin Jones and Tony Gravely. No scrubs themselves. And now he's taking on a debut fighter. He's got that experience. He's got that 0 in the loss column next to his name. It's going to be very hard for Mateusz Mendonca to come in and take it. And I think that's why you see the odds makers are making Basharat a nearly 4-1 favorite, just a little over 3-1 favorite. Basharat's got all of that experience. He's still looking for his first UFC finish win. And for a guy like Mendonca who doesn't have a psychotically high finish rate, only 60%, maybe Basharat can afford to chase one. And maybe that's where Mendonca catches him. I don't think so. I think Basharat is too disciplined, too skilled, too experienced to get caught by a debut fighter. Should be a fun fight. Like I said, I think the last fight should have been the featured prelim, but this is not a bad offering either. Well, that's what we've got for the rest of the prelim card. Stay tuned sometime before the fight card kicks off for the main card for UFC Fight Night Imavov versus Strickland. You'll see 5 new videos coming your way, one for each of the main card fights, where we're going to give you a little more in-depth analysis for the top 5 fights of the night. We'll give you more than a little 1.5 to 2 minute spiel about each. As always, if you go to cagecalculus.com, you can see all of this stuff for yourself. You can see the little grids in the articles that I had beside me there. You can see it all. Check out the numbers. Check out our recaps, our rankings, everything else beyond just the previews. You can see at cagecalculus.com. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Again, stay tuned for those main cards and like and subscribe if you're so inclined.